Okay. All right. So last time we talked about what Krishna really wants. We talked the first time about what Krishna really wants is this special kind of love. That's why he exists as he exists, and why he created other beings is because he found that the most wonderful thing conceivable is a special kind of love called prema, which is a love different from anything that we've experienced in our many lifetimes here in this world. But it's something where um, the appreciation for the other is so overwhelming and wonderful that it just causes you to just come alive and become super alive. And your only happiness is making it because you feel such a tremendous amount of gratitude for the other person that you just want that other being to be happy. And so Krishna feels like that towards the devotees, and the devotees feel like that towards Krishna and the other devotees. So it's this beyond full satisfaction. It's this overflowing of love and existence. And so Krishna is satisfied with that eternally. It's that wonderful and amazing. And so the last time we said, well, then what does Krishna want from us? If that's the plan, right? If that's the idea, what does he want from us? And we said he wanted our hearts, right? Because that's where that love comes from. He's not looking for anything else, but he really wants that heart connection. That's he appreciates everything else. We mentioned persons who aren't really interested in Krishna so much himself, but rather are interested in what he can provide for them. So we talked about it's called the Mishra Bhakti. And he says even then, Krishna is so kind. He cares for us so deeply that he gives them what they want, and then he gives them liberation. But what he really wants is our hearts. He really wants that connection, and that's open to us. Um, and so with this time, we'll talk about how can we begin to give what Krishna wants to him. How can we give him our hearts, the thing he desires, right? And actually, it mentions in the Bhagavatam, that the problem that we have right now is that our hearts are very hard, like stone or like iron. So how can we become a little softer and begin to give Krishna what he's looking for? So the beginning of that, I really think is an understanding. I think we have to keep going over this. Is the understanding about the unmotivated, unconditional love that Krishna has for us, and this we've never experienced before from anyone, not fully like Krishna has it. And so there's the verse here, Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, verse 6. Says the supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So the word here is ahoitaki. And ahoitaki, Prabhupada translates here as unmotivated in the translation, and causeless in the word for word translation. And what it is, ahoitaki is a combination. It's the root there is hetu, which means a cause, and the a, just like in English, right, you can put an a in front of something and it becomes a negation, like amorphous. It doesn't have shape, right? And so ahetu or ahaituki is the way it's connected, means it's without a cause, or that's the more kind of root meaning. And then Prabhupada says in context it means a motivation. And so in this case, the bhakti on the devotee side is said is to not want something besides Krishna. It just means that we want to please Krishna to satisfy the love in our hearts. That's the full thing. Um, So yeah, from from so anyway, it's the we don't want something from Krishna. Uh, that's the idea. Now, the interesting thing is that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when he comments on that exact same verse, he says that the Ahoitiki also applies to Krishna. It's not just from our side, but Krishna's side. It refers to to what's happening here. And so it says, yeah, the devotees are motivated only by their love without an ulterior motive. But from Krishna's side, it also describes bhakti itself and Krishna's attitude towards us. All right, so he says that the Ahoitiki applies to the unmotivated or causeless invitation to bhakti that we receive. So we've received an invitation to this. Right? And he says this is causeless. It's unmotivated. It's given freely. So we were not chosen because of some specific quality. We're fortunate, not special, is really what he's saying. And then he goes and he explains this in some detail in there, and he goes deeper into it in the Madhurya Kadambini. And he says what happens, how it's spread, is that persons who have this type of bhakti, this unmotivated bhakti, it softens their hearts. And they feel how fortunate they are to have it. And when they see and other people, they want to share that because they see what a difference it is. They want to share that wealth. They want to give it to them. They have great feeling for others. And so it says the bhakti motivates them to do it. So the bhakti that's there motivates them to do it. So his point is bhakti causes bhakti. This is how he puts it. And in that way, it has no cause except itself. And then he says here in his commentary, he says, even though bhakti appears by bhakti, so it somehow the devotees have it, it softens their heart and they want to give it because it's just natural for them to do so. They need to share that. This is so wonderful. You must have it. You must have it. But he says it does not negate the fact that bhakti's self-manifesting nature comes from the Lord. And I take that's the Lord's love for us. Right. So that's so it comes back to his love for us, his undying love for us. Right. That's why it's self-manifesting. And so the offer of bhakti is a priceless gift that's offered from Krishna's heart because his heart is so wonderful that he even accepts motivated service and gives them so much more than they even desire. And Krishna's heart is the softest, except for his devotees. The devotees can have even softer hearts than Krishna because they're in contact with Krishna and have received that bhakti. But otherwise, Krishna's heart is the most wonderful. And so he's offered this. So it's just offered just because it has to. If you have it, you have to give it if you possibly can. It's just a natural impulse. And it doesn't matter who you are. And so another facet of the meaning of causeless, and this he also makes clear in the Madhurya Kadambini, is that no one can be qualified to receive it. So you can't do like this, and this, and have certain qualities that entitle you to bhakti. So many other things, anything we do in this world, we have to have a qualification for. Jobs have certain qualifications. You have to have qualifications to get into this university. You have to be qualified for this, qualified for that. And if you're qualified, hey, you're good. And if you're not, you're out. But bhakti is priceless. Especially this type of bhakti is absolutely priceless because Krishna is offering his heart. You can't get more valuable than that. So what can you do to be worthy of that? Nothing. And so this is mentioned in the scriptures that people can do all these various pious activities and so many good works and all this kind of stuff, and that will never produce bhakti. So it's just a free gift, And then at the same time, because there because there is no qualification, it's beyond qualification. Anybody can receive it. He says what he says is bhakti is free. So therefore, it can't be compelled. You can't say, okay, I've done this, this, and this. You got to give it to me, man. I have earned it. Which means, or you can't, or it can't be that, oh, this person, look at this person. They're such a mess that you can't give it to them. The bhakti is free, can go anywhere to anyone. This is another part of the so the gift of bhakti is completely unconditional. It's just a gift from Krishna's heart. That's just what it is. And you can't qualify yourself. You can't even disqualify yourself from it. It just can be. It can happen. Okay. Yeah. So it always, and I guess it's important to know that even after receiving the gift, it still is so priceless that it cannot be deserved. So it's not like, okay, you get, I give you a free start, right? You're not qualified now. I give you a chance, but then you have to become qualified, right? Because that's what we think, because we're not used to unconditional love. Okay, look, I'm gonna let you in. We're gonna give you bhakti right now. Okay, but now you got to do something with it. Now you got to prove yourself, right? The gift is always beyond our ability to appreciate and reciprocate and to deserve. No one, not even Srimati Radharani, feels that she deserves to have Krishna, to be connected with Krishna, because it's priceless. Okay. And here's an explanation of that. I mean, here it is. This is the holy name, because this is usually what we receive really quickly, is Krishna's name, the Hare Krishna mantra. And this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 7:133, famous verse about the holy name. The holy name of Krishna is transcendently blissful. It bestows all spiritual benedictions, for it is Krishna himself. Okay, for the first time it says it's Krishna himself, the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna's name is complete, and it is the form of all transcendental mellows. It is not a material name under any condition, and it is no less powerful than Krishna himself. Since Krishna's name is not contaminated by the material qualities, there is no question of its being involved with Maya. Krishna's name is always liberated and spiritual. It is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. That is because the name of Krishna and Krishna himself are identical, because they're not two different things. That's what the verse says. Abhinatva, not two things, the name and the named. So in effect, when we receive Krishna's holy name, we are receiving Krishna himself. Krishna has given himself to us. Here, take me. What's the qualification for that? What's the proper payment for that? Right? How much is that supposed to cost? How much tapasya can you do? How much fasting can you do? How much good work to deserve Krishna? Right? So it's a gift from his heart, him and from his heart. And it doesn't stop there. Okay. So it's not just, I said again, it's not just the beginning. And then now we're on, we got to prove ourselves, and now we got to straighten up and be something special, But Krishna's love remains unconditional even after bhakti has become, and I'll try to prove that to you. Here's Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 17. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage, yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. He says, on the other hand, the devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duty, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. The first part, there's no danger of being unsuccessful. And then here in the purport, Prabhupada says, one engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, once engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, one will continue the service in all circumstances. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that even a small quantity of devotional service can save one from the most dangerous position. There are many instances of such examples in history. Ajamila is one of them. Ajamila in his early life was a devotee, but in his youth he fell down. Still, he was saved by the Lord at the end. And there's a little quick description here of what Ajamila was like after he fell down. This fallen Brahmana, Ajamila, gave trouble to others by arresting them, by cheating them in gambling, or by directly plundering them. This was the way he earned his livelihood and maintained his wife and children. But at the end, Krishna saved him. And it mentions other places, that it's even if one falls away, there's other people. There says other people are mentioned too. But this is just a good example. Here's some of, this is very bad behavior. Right? So he's already a devotee, and he's got all this really, 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 really bad behavior, and that's all he was doing. Krishna was no longer in the picture. This was his whole life, and it was at a young age that he deviated in the whole life, and then Krishna. What he did is he had a son who he named Narayan, the name of Krishna. And so when he was dying, he was calling out for him and not for Krishna. But it was enough for Krishna to say, "Oh, you wanted me." He remembered me, and he sent his devotees, the Vishnu Dutas, to save him. So, it says, Krishna is waiting to welcome us back. He's waiting for an opportunity to grab us back. He doesn't say, "Oh man, I gave you, you understood something, you totally went astray, you left me, I'm done with you." No, he's never done with us, right? Because he continues no matter what. And he declares that. I mean, why that happens, right? He says in Bhagavad Gita, the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts, mama vangsha. They're parts of me. Right? Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. And he says, having obtained real knowledge, this is Bhagavad Gita 4:35, having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Right? So Krishna is eternal, and that's what he sees. We may do all this and all that. We may misbehave in so many different ways. But Krishna's love is unconditional. It's unconditional. Even if we fall away, even if we, it's unconditional. Krishna takes us back. Krishna works to get us back. He doesn't forget us. That's Krishna. That's unconditional love. That he invites us, even though no matter who we are, we're open to the invitation. And even if we mess up really badly, he doesn't give up on us. Now that's serious love. It's not transactional. It's not conditional. It's not what we're used to on this earth, on this fine earth of ours. We don't see that kind of situation. So we're not used to it, and we're not used to responding to it. And that's a real issue for us. And why we really have to keep contemplating this fact that Krishna's love is it's free. It's there because of his heart. That's the problem. That's his problem. Krishna has a heart that's open, and it doesn't matter. It says, that in the Gita, that Krishna says that the people who have the asura bhava, who don't like God, who don't even want him to exist or deny his existence or want to kill him even, right? There's those that think they can kill him because they don't like the way he's running things. They want to take that. So he says, for those people, he says in the Gita, he says, I send them into lower forms of birth perpetually, and they mama prapi, they don't never attain me. But Prabhupada says in the Bhagavatam, he says that what happens is Krishna leaves them alone because we have that free will. We can say, Krishna, get lost, even though you're here, and you'll get lost. He won't bother you. But the devotees come after them. So Prabhupada says what happens to them in that case is that the liberated devotees come in different countries of the world and gradually rectify these beings to God consciousness. Right? So he has plausible deniability. You didn't want me. I stayed away from you. I can't, what can I do about these devotee people? It's plausible deniability. They're doing it because they know what Krishna really wants, right? But it's plausible deniability. I didn't have anything to do with that. Don't blame me. These guys have come. I don't know. And, you didn't have to listen to them. I mean, what? you know. And so it happens. So even souls who are like, hate him, want to cause all kinds of trouble, want to kill him even. He does. Krishna's the same. It says when he fights with the asuras and kills them, right, he frees them from all their sins. Sometimes he gives them a place in the spiritual world. He's always the well-wisher of everybody. Krishna's heart, Krishna's infinite, so his heart is infinite. He can't, and nothing can happen. So the only thing that makes a difference in our connection with Krishna is our heart. Because love has to be free. He can't force it. And so we choose. We can choose whether we want Krishna or not. And Krishna will always want us. That just remains. So it's really important to understand this unconditional part and try to keep processing that, because we'll default all the time to the notion of conditional love. And so it's not just when we receive it, but it's all throughout the time after we've received it. So we're always going to be jumping up and wanting to, put our best foot forward, prove ourselves to be this, prove ourselves to be that, because that's what we do in this world, right? But Krishna doesn't care. That's not what he's looking for. He wants a heart response. He wants us to reciprocate that love. And he's patient and he can nurture it. We start from reality. So because we are loved unconditionally, Krishna is somebody who offers you a perfectly safe space to be who you are. Right? We can be completely open and authentic. Because, on the other hand, we already know that Krishna knows us better than we know ourselves. Because he's in the heart as the super soul. He's been with us throughout all of our different lifetimes. So he not only knows, there are things that we don't even remember about ourselves. There are things we're suppressing and they're unconscious, and Krishna knows it all. And he knows it from all of our past lives. He's got he not only knows our actions, he knows our thoughts, our feelings, everything. He knows every good and bad thought. So think about that, like, somebody that really knows us well, will have pretty good insight into us, pretty well. But usually they don't know our thoughts. Even they don't know all the thoughts. Oh, Krishna knows all the thoughts. He knows all the thoughts from all the lifetimes. It's like nothing. He's got the whole trip. And he's still saying, come on to me. So we're already, completely naked to Krishna, but we are not willingly so, right? We're not willingly open. So if we want to connect with Krishna, we have to be open-hearted to him. And this is when we oftentimes when we see the deities, it's called darshan. You go and you take that. But darshan also means to be seen by the deities. When you're going up to that's not just to see the deities, but you're there for you to be seen. And Srila Bhaktisanta Saraswati, he used to say, right, he would say, don't try to see Krishna, but try to act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. But to me, in the context we have here, it means that the way we act, a part of what the action means is that we're open to Krishna. right? That I'm voluntarily, here I am, Krishna. I'm being who I really am. Warts, traumas, everything and all. Here I am. I'm not pretending to be anything. I'm not filtering anything else out. I'm not hiding everything in this corner or that corner. I'm not putting my best foot forward. All right. This is here I am. The whole, the good and the bad and the in between. Here I am. And we're not used to opening our hearts. We're used to concealing our hearts and concealing ourselves even from ourselves. Right? We don't want to see. I mean, man, it's ugly, the stuff we have, deep in the, some of the deep impressions we have are just not very pleasant. It really isn't. And so we hide even from ourselves, what to speak of others. And so that closes our hearts and hardens our hearts because we have to be something else. Most of our lives, we're trying to be something else because what we are is not going to be acceptable to others. And so, sometimes we have people that we can be, more and more open with. It's just, a safe place, a safe environment where we can reveal, as it says, it's one of the ways that you have deep connection with devotees. You reveal your mind in confidence, your heart in confidence. You can reveal yourself. You can be yourself. And when we have relationships where we can be more open and be accepted, it's really gives you life. Because it's painful to have to try to be something you're not, to wear a mask. I mean, and of course, in many like social interactions, you kind of have to do that. You don't want everybody to be wearing their whole hearts on their sleeves. It would be messy. But you need, but you need, to be seen. People need to be seen and accepted to be whole. You need that extra support. And so Krishna is the one that you can be fully open with because of his unconditional love. We don't have to pretend anything. And it's actually, not helpful to us to pretend anything. So I think that first thing is when we understand Krishna's unconditional love, is we can come to Krishna just as we are. And we need to stay in that condition as much as we possibly can. And it's a little tricky. Let's see here. Yeah, so if we come to Krishna open-hearted, confident in his acceptance, then we're inviting Krishna to see us and to interact with us, right? Because we get something like this here. These are the kind of things that will get us. There's a purport here in the Srimad Bhagavatam about the 26 qualities that devotees have. Okay. Anyone who has developed unalloyed, unflinching devotional service unto the Lord develops his original good qualities as spirit soul. The spirit soul, as part and parcel of the supreme personality of Godhead, is all the good qualities of the Lord. But when one is transcendental to all material qualities, all the good qualities come out. These qualities of a devotee, 26 in number, are listed as follows: kind to everyone, does not quarrel with anyone, fixed in the absolute truth, equal to everyone, faultless, charitable, mild, clean, simple, benevolent, peaceful, completely attached to Krishna, has no material hankering, meek, steady, self-controlled, does not eat more than required, sane, respectful, humble, grave, compassionate, friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. Okay. And then there's other things, other qualities devotees are supposed to have. And so we may feel like, wait, I don't know. How many of those we have, any of them really? Much to speak of 26, we go, oh man, I got to develop these qualities, right? Or we hear, devotees, advanced devotees prayers, I got to be feeling like that. Okay? But these are the byproducts of bhakti. You see, when the heart is open, and there's the, the natural appreciation. I mean, if we can, I mean, what do you feel if you knew that somebody loved you unconditionally forever? What would that do to you? Doesn't that touch you? Doesn't that make you feel wonderful, and doesn't it make you feel grateful? And in that open-hearted condition, Krishna can work in you. He says how he helps you. Right? And then in so many, and just that love, I mean, love makes you grow. Love makes you better. And acceptance, because part of the condemnation, we have self-condemnation that kills us. It drains our energy, it drains our life. We think, oh, I'm terrible. I'm this, from that. Oh, and it kills us. It kills our life. But if somebody, especially somebody wonderful like Krishna, really truly loves us under all conditions, under forever and ever, it's like this huge weight off our shoulders. It's like this awakening. And then plus Krishna helps. So these things start to come out by nature. It's not that I try to develop them, you know, but they'll come. They're a byproduct of bhakti. It says it's like the little seed that sprouts, and the negative things go away, and the positive things just start to come, just with that open heartedness. Um, we and so we have to be careful about being artificial, right? Because that in one sense that really blocks Krishna's mercy and his grace. And so, there are sometimes like we're going to hear about these qualities, and it's useful to take them on board, to hear them, right? And to kind of bring them into our consciousness, you know? And they can kind of make little impressions on you that can be useful. They show a model of what it's going to look like. So when the heart begins to open, Satyananda Swami was saying one time, somebody was a class with him, and people were asking, what is the use when we hear about, like, see the pastimes that Krishna has. So there's advanced devotees dealing with Krishna, and they have certain sentiments and activities that are really beyond us. So what is the value in hearing that? And the example he gave, I thought was pretty good. He says it's like you don't have you're planning to have like a little stream flow through your property. You don't have the water yet, but you're able to dig the channel. So when the water finally comes, it flows in the right way. So in some ways, it leaves some impressions in you that will help guide it when your heart is awakening, you know. And so, and the same thing can happen if we, to some degree. I mean, there's the famous case. They disagree. There was the two brothers, Brahmananda and Gargamuni, who joined in 26 Second Avenue. I'd always heard that it was Brahmananda that did this, but I heard him later say no, it was his brother. So I don't know if they were if it was just a mistake from the beginning, or whether they were blaming each other. It can happen that way. Brothers are like that. But one of them was asking Prabhupada. He says, everybody's bowing down to you, but I don't really feel like doing that. Right? What should I do? And Prabhupada told him, well, you bow down anyway, and then you'll begin to feel it, you know. Now, so I can understand, and it happens but I think, like I said, if you smile, you'll feel happiness. If you frown, you'll feel a different mood. You can reverse engineer moods by your expressions, because it somehow triggers that. But those aren't genuine. And so when you bow down, it may give you that feeling, but that doesn't end it. So I think, again, it may begin to show you the pathway. Like maybe you didn't know what it felt to feel a little humble. Maybe you've never been happy, you've never smiled, so you smile and you find happiness for the first time. And then maybe later you can actually find it naturally. So I think that also has to happen there. So if you're just bowing down because it was going to help you, and it produces something, but it only happens at that time, then it's not the same thing as having it. So at some point it has to become heartfelt again. And so sometimes we have a tendency to do that. We want to put our best face on, and so we try to act alike, right? Like devotional service is described. So if we're doing that, at least we have to be aware of that. Like sometimes it's just maybe for we have social encounters and we're supposed to act in kind of certain ways, so that we were a little bit, say, but it has to go deeper than that. Even if because we can condition ourselves to act in certain ways. We can practice it. We can, this is what we say as devotees. This is how we act. This is what we do, right? And we can, we can get on a whole, kind of put on our whole Vaishnava behavior, and we can condition ourselves to that. A little bit like Pavlov's dog. We can work it, but if it's disconnected from our true feelings, then actually that can be an inhibition. And so we need to be aware, if we're kind of faking it, we need to know that we're faking it. And we need to let Krishna know that we're faking it too. Okay, I'm really not to this point yet. I really feel this other way. But I'm at least trying to see what it would feel like if I had that. It's okay. That's okay. But if I'm thinking, oh, see, you know, I'm all Krishna up here. I'm doing all the right things. But that takes us away from our heart, and our heart won't grow and develop in that way. So at least when we're alone with Krishna, and Krishna is there all the time, we should be open, know what we really feel and think, and bring Krishna that whole mess and all the good and bad things. And so here I am, and I'm still trying I'm still interested in you. I'm still trying. So today when I'm chanting Hare Krishna, maybe I don't feel it that much. But I said, look, Krishna, I really think I should, but I don't. But here I am because I at least want to do something. You know, and other days we're going to feel it more. But I think if we stay open and don't do things that close our heart by trying to be artificially better, or try to hide from Krishna our weaknesses, then gradually the heart stays open and begins to process things. Like there's many things that happen to us where Krishna reveals himself. Sometimes we'll chant Hare Krishna, it'll be a wonderful experience. We'll have experiences in kirtan, we'll see the deities, we'll read something wonderful, we'll hear something wonderful. There'll be wonderful prasadam, you know. And if our hearts are open, that will reinforce the fact that Krishna is there, Krishna cares for us, he's interacting with us. I think too many times we try to just hang on to that bliss because we're supposed to be happy and enthusiastic. Right? Happy and enthusiastic. That's what devotees, but actually, devotees are everything. If you look at Krishna's Leela, devotees feel everything. Mother Yashoda is terrified when Krishna is taken away by the demons. Yudhisthira is devastated at the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, Arjuna beforehand and Yudhisthira afterwards. There's fear, there's anger, there's all the different, rasa, the deep connections with Krishna are filled with all varieties of emotion. There's anxiety, there's fear, there's anger, there's love, there's everything. It's very vibrant. It isn't just happy and enthusiastic. That's boring. So Krishna arranges all kinds of Leela to deepen the connection. Right? It says even when Krishna and Radharani are swinging on the swing, Krishna swings it too hard, so she thinks they're going to fall off. Or there's the boating pastimes where the boat is sinking. There's always trouble. That enriches everything. So there's a vibrancy to bhakti, right? So and so how are we going to be fully, fully developed, transcendent persons if we have to be this little narrow thing right now? That's only happy and enthusiastic. It doesn't have anything. I don't feel anything else. I never feel discouraged. I never have doubt. I never have this. Never, never. Right? That's artificial. And that's killing our hearts when we're doing that. And it's not allowing us to develop our faith and connection to Krishna in different circumstances. Now, Krishna arranges all these crazy things to happen in his Leela, just just so the connection is deepened and broadened in so many different ways. So if we to give Krishna our hearts, we have to have a heart. We can't just provide our little nice shiny exterior. Shave the head, put on tilak, be happy and enthusiastic, say all the right things. But he wants the real heart, and so therefore we have to be open to ourselves and to Krishna in order for us to have a heart to give. It's really important. So we're gonna we'll stop in just a couple minutes and we'll take comments and questions. Dear Krishna has his hand up, but yeah. So to give a heart, we have to have a heart, and I think the really huge first step that changes everything is to realize that Krishna is giving himself to us freely, and it's not because we're special; it's just because we're fortunate, and that we'll never deserve it. We can never earn it, but it's there and it's free, and Krishna will never, ever forget about us. He'll never, ever reject us. He's always going to love us no matter what. And I said, we've had a lot worse lifetimes than this one. So the worst thing you can think of that you've done this lifetime, you've topped it so many more times before that, And when Krishna's never going to do that. And so how can we allow that to let us open our hearts and to wake up? Right? To really wake up, because we're suffering under this self-condemnation and condemnation from others. We're suffering under that. Feelings of unworthiness, which turn into pride and all this kind of stuff. I have to be somebody. No, you are good enough for Krishna. You're all good enough for Krishna. And if we open our hearts to him and begin to interact with him, then we become alive, we become our real selves, which is actually quite beautiful. All right, so it's almost 7:45. So let's take comments and questions. Dear Krishna Prabhu, you've got your hand up first. So why don't we start with you? Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, everyone. Actually, I just wanted to pause you so I can contemplate on what you said, because it is quite condensed and extremely important point. That is that the pretending that we are joyful and what is the happy and joyful is not the way to go. But then the Shastras, the Krishna Leelas are full of emotions. And emotions are there for a reason. Emotions need to be used. Emotions have information. Emotions have information, and we need to understand them. We need to get into them and grow out of it, not suppress. And therefore, if we're just pretending to be joyful and happy and following the regulative principles, we may not get to where, we may not, I don't know. But anyway, that's not the way to go.
Yeah, because that's killing us actually, right? Because we have a tendency, to prioritize. I think as devotees, we have a tendency to really prioritize the head And in some other ways, even though we're not the body of the body, because the body does so many things. Right? The body does this service and that service and that kind of stuff. And then we have the head, we have all the philosophy. And so sometimes we really conflate having knowledge and being able to answer all the questions with being with advancement, you know. But you know, intellect doesn't have a lot to do with the heart. And so the rest of the stuff, when we suppress it, is because we think they're causing trouble or they're not worthy of existing. They're the Maya, you know. But actually, Krishna has given us all of these components as part of the machine that's our body, and they actually function. And so, and actually, the more that we're averse, attached to one part of ourselves and averse to others, attachment and aversion is which helps us to lose connection with ourself. And so when we can just be open to Krishna, we can open ourselves that Krishna, you know, loves us all, warts and all. Then it's much easier for us. It means we're opening our emotions, we're opening our you know our feelings, our you know our wisdom and our you know we're opening everything. And when the heart is open, it's interesting. You know, when the heart, if I want to do an exercise maybe next time, you know, where does your attention go when you're thinking or remembering, you know, some piece of information, and where does it go when you try to remember early deep experience? When you're more focused in the heart, my experience is that everything else balances out. The emotions come there, and you're able to use your wisdom. It's a place of wisdom and truth, you know, is there in the heart, and so the emotions can come up, and you can hear them, and you can decide what to do with them. The mind also slows down because it wants to give you relevant information instead of just spinning out of control. Everything stabilizes when all the different parts are open. But when we're suppressing certain things and hyper focusing on other parts, we become really out of balance. And so if we can say, here I am, Krishna, with all the everything I've got, here I am, wide open to you, because I know that you love me and accept me despite everything, then we become more whole people. We're not pretending. Otherwise, we're pretending for ourselves and we're pretending for others. And that just isn't helpful. Because Krishna is looking for the heart, not the behavior. And from the heart comes the behavior. Right? And the behavior becomes an expression of the heart. And so, anyway, even if we're doing different practices of devotional service, and of course, in the beginning, our heart is not overflowing enough to have them be the basis for all of our actions. We're going to chant Hare Krishna and hear about Krishna and do things, even though that's not springing from love. But at least we have to be aware of what the condition of our heart is. And so we say, okay, Krishna, you know, I don't have love for you, but I have interest in you. I have some confidence in you. And so I'm going to chant your name in the condition I'm in right now. And I'm not going to try to put on some fake devotion, but I'm just going to chant because I have some confidence that that's you. I have some confidence, and I have some confidence that you're my greatest well-wisher and friend and person who loves me the most. So I want to connect with you. You know? And you know, I may not be as focused as I'd like to be. Many things I may not be, but I'm here. So in that way, you're open. You're honest about what you're doing. It's called sarlata. You know, simplicity. You need to be very simple with Krishna. We can afford to be. You know, yeah, I should let me just stop this stuff. And when we do that, you know, we begin to feel this you know life that wasn't there before. You know, when we stop being judgmental of others, because we're not so judgmental of ourselves, and we can begin to have deeper connections with one another, because that's one of the ways we can really feel Krishna's love is with, you know, real connection with devotees. But when we're all walled up and we're pretending and we're artificial, it's not pleasing Krishna. It's not helping us, and it's making us less connected with one another. So it's this unconditional love. We got to keep bringing that through again, because we'll understand it, and then there'll be nah. But we're so conditioned to having it be conditional love that we'll keep reverting. We'll keep reverting. We'll keep reverting. Okay, okay, I understood that. Okay, Krishna, today I'm going to be really great. Right? Okay, I'm going to do everything just perfect today. I'm going to chant for today. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And where's the heart? So instead we go, here I am, Krishna. I'm a mess, but I'm here again. Somehow, I'm going to knock at your door again, present myself to you to be seen again. Right? To be seen fully by you. And here I am, I'm going to chant your holy name again today. Or I'm going to do this puja today, or I'm going to read today. And it's really a situation where bhakti is a gift and we have to learn how to receive it. So it's like sometimes people talk about the achiever's mentality versus the receiver's mentality. So the more that we can sink into this Richard Rohr, this Catholic priest, talks about sinking deeper into the net of the Lord's acceptance. The more we can really believe it, that we're fully accepted, you sink deeper and deeper into that feeling, because that's such a feeling of protection, such a feeling of joy. And the more that you can actually believe that and relax into that and to feel that, then the more everything comes alive. It's a natural enlivening. And love brings everything to life. The more we disbelieve it, the more we can't receive it, and we block it out. So it's like this. It's again and again and again. We have to understand this unconditional love. We'll keep defaulting into the other stuff. So we got to keep bringing ourselves back. Krishna, here I am. I can't believe how fortunate I am. I don't appreciate it nearly enough, but that's what it is. But here I am, and here I'm trying again, I'm here again, and this is what I am. This is who I am, or it's an all. And the more we can sink deeper into that grace and feeling of acceptance, so it's a downward process, not an upward process. Advancement in Krishna consciousness is a downward process where we deepen our faith, we deepen our appreciation, we deepen our acceptance and desire for Krishna's grace. And the more we feel, this, how this is something we've received that's beyond our imagination and beyond any hope of proper reciprocation. And so you go down. Once as you go deeper and deeper into Krishna's love, rather than up, trying to become worthy of it. That's usually we're trying to go up, and we'll become bigger and better and stronger and more wonderful until finally we say, okay, Krishna, I'm lovable. Take me. Now I've done all this, Instead, we sink lower. We sink down into Krishna's acceptance. We sink into his love. And we open ourselves to it with all of our defects, and we try to respond in whatever way we can. So it's authenticity and sincerity and simplicity is what it is. And if we don't do that, Krishna still loves us. If we close ourselves and pretend and do all the others, Krishna still loves us. He's waiting. He said, okay. You can do that if you want. I'm still here. But if we want to connect with him, it's the simplicity, it's the openness, it's the sincerity. And so we have to cultivate the heart. We're not used to it. In fact, a lot of our practice in some ways has hardened the heart more, because we feel like I have to be perfect now. I have to chant this way. I have to do this way. I have to have all this devotion. But what if you don't? Right? I have to work harder. I have to be, I have to squeeze out some more feeling of devotion, right? Well, no, we still don't got it, right? No, but I'm really pretending well. It really looks good from the outside, you know? So if we don't have it, we don't have it. Say, Krishna, I don't have any devotion. I don't have any gratitude. But I'm here at your mercy. I'm trying not to go away. And that's when things start to change. That's when we can start going into the heart, and then we can start to give Krishna what he wants. And then, after time, that can come to, so that heart begins to infuse more and more of our activities. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think we have to keep reminding ourselves what the meaning of unconditional is, again and again. And it's not, we're trying to come that way ourselves, but Krishna is already there. His love is already unconditional. Ours is conditional now. It's just the way it is. But Krishna's is already there.
Can I add something
Please.
to the mix? Okay. So part of your talk reminded me of something, a theme we heard from Sridhar Maharaj, and it was that the negative attracts the positive. So we know Sri Chaitanya Dev is both Radha Krishna combined, and he's come to search for himself in the mood of Radha. And so both the positive and negative aspects are combined, and it's dynamic. And in the process, the negative attracts the positive, and the positive is thus distributed to the public. So it turns into preaching. So as devotees of Krishna, we're also searching for Krishna. So we have so many teachers. We have someone who turned us in the right direction, Vartma Padarsha Guru. We have so many Shiksha Gurus. Some of us have Diksha, mantra gurus. But as we go, we accept different teachers along the way. And we accept whatever helps us to understand more clearly what we heard from our guru. And that must be accepted. So this is in Sri Guruna's grace. So this is an interesting idea that he says, otherwise, what I've taken into the prison house of my mind through my scholarship, what have I taken in the prison house of my mind through my scholarship? God is not a finite thing. He is infinite. And as much as in the cell of my brain I've imprisoned him, shall I stick only to that? What is this? Is my realization a living thing, or is it dead? This is along the lines of humility and those qualities that you showed in that verse. Is there any growth? What have I received from my spiritual master? Can it grow, or is it finished? Have I reached the infinite standard where I can progress no further? If someone says that he has reached that standard and that there's nothing further to be realized, then we offer obeisances to him from far away. We are not worshipers of that. If one thinks that he is finished, that he has attained perfection, we hate it. An acharya should consider that he is a student, not a finished professor who has everything. We should always think, one should always think of himself as a bona fide student. We have come to realize the infinite, not a finite thing. So this fight between the finite and the infinite and infinite knowledge will continue always. So he's talking about the relative and the absolute. Should we think, what have I understood is absolute? No. We have not finished with knowledge. Still, we must know. Brahma himself says, I am fully deceived by your power. Master, I am nowhere. That's the Brahma Vimohan Lila. Anyone who has come into connection with the infinite cannot but say this, I am nothing. That should be the salient point. The propounder of the greatest scripture in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, says, I am lower than the worm in the stool. This is his statement. And he is saying so sincerely, should we be ashamed to express our negative character, our negative development, which is the real wealth for a disciple? So because such a negative character is shown by him, we fall at his feet. And if someone says, I have finished all knowledge, God, Chaitanya, is my disciple, then it should be. I didn't get the rest of the line there, but I'm sure it's pretty negative. We're not interested in someone assuming the position of God. Anyway, the idea of humility, comes to mind.
And see, it was interesting. See, he said, have I trapped you, Krishna, in my brain cells, So again, it talks to, it has to be heart, and there's never, I said, and never, even, Radharani doesn't feel like she deserves Krishna, or that her love is enough, is enough for Krishna. Nobody, and Krishna, of course, he doesn't feel that he deserves the devotees. This is that feeling of deep indebtedness. That's a part of prema. Deep in that she doesn't. Krishna thinks that she's worth more than his existence, and she thinks that he's worth more than hers. There's no side. I've understood everything and I've attained everything. It's always like he said, it's a dynamic thing. Krishna's love is increasing, the devotee's love is increasing. It's not the same. It's always just developing more and more and
an
more.
upward spiral. It's just gets more and more intense.
Yeah, so that was from the Sri Guru and His Grace. That, as you called it from there. So dear Krishna was asking about that. There's a book by Bhakti Rakshakshara Maharaj who says it's called Sri Guru and His Grace. You can find it. You can find it easily on the Kindle. He's got it all. It's a part of a series too. That's a Pushpavanta, and they're all there. Several of us. So. All right. So we're getting a little bit past our time, but anything else before we close up shop? All right. Well, thank you all. Chaitanya Leela Prabhu. Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank all of you for spending your time here. With one more to go. Next week is our final one, and then we'll be done. Some of you have stuck out the whole series so far, so it's tough. I appreciate that. So yeah, I'll send out the recordings as always, and I'm also, there'll be a transcript. I think this time I can send a link to. Also, I'm doing this. My little note taker is doing a transcript, so there'll be a transcript plus the recordings and stuff. So I'll send everything out, a link to all those things out in the coming days. All right.
Hare Krishna.
Very well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very well.